I found out the truth about my girlfriend's pregnancy when she was already 6 months along. It was a regular day at work when a man named Brian approached me. He asked if I was Sarah's boyfriend. Caught off guard, I said yes. Then came the blow. He apologized and told me he had been sleeping with her. He hadn't known she was in a relationship. I didn't want to believe him at first, but the proof was undeniable. He pulled out his phone and showed me a long string of messages, photos, and dates. They had been involved for over a year, longer than I even knew. As I read through the texts, everything started to fall into place. The timing of her pregnancy, her sudden excitement, the way she clung to the idea of us becoming a family after we had struggled for so long to conceive. It all felt strange before. Now it made sense. Sarah and Brian had agreed to keep their affair a secret and let me believe the child was mine. She didn't want to ruin the picture-perfect life she had built, and Brian, at the time, wasn't ready to face the consequences of fatherhood. Brian, recently trying to live a more honest life after embracing Christianity, told me he couldn't keep lying. He felt it was wrong to let me unknowingly raise his child. As furious as I was, I thanked him and asked him to stay quiet for the time being. I needed time to think. The betrayal cut deeper than anything I had experienced. This wasn't just infidelity, it was deception that had shaped my future. I had been planning to propose to Sarah. I had imagined our life together, raising a family, growing old side by side. Months passed. I lived with the weight of this secret, trying to keep myself together. And I made a decision. I would confront Sarah, but not just any time. I wanted her to feel the weight of her actions. So I waited until after she gave birth. It might sound cruel to some, but to me it was about impact, about truth colliding with consequence. The baby was taken to the NICU shortly after birth. It should have been a beautiful, emotional moment. But all I felt was emptiness. I looked at that child and knew I wasn't his father. My heart ached, not just for what I lost, but for what I had been tricked into believing. Once Sarah was settled in her hospital room, I quietly packed my things. She asked where I was going, confused and tired. That's when I told her I knew everything. That the baby wasn't mine. That she should call Brian and have him sign the birth certificate instead. Her expression shifted from confusion to devastation. She begged for a chance to explain, but I had heard enough. I walked out, ignoring the flood of messages and calls that followed. Even her sister tried to reach me, but I shut it all out. The ring I had bought to propose that day stayed buried in my pocket, a symbol of everything I had lost. People had mixed opinions. Some said I should have left sooner, spared her the heartbreak right after delivery. Others stood by me, telling me to get a DNA test and protect myself legally. I knew just by looking at the baby that he wasn't mine. But for the sake of closure, I agreed to the test. During that time, I stayed in touch with Brian. He had changed, or at least tried to. He said he was ready to step up if the child was his. He seemed genuine, and oddly enough, I didn't resent him. The betrayal wasn't his alone. The DNA results arrived a month later, confirming what I already knew. I wasn't the father. Brian was. He was emotional when he found out. Despite everything, he was happy to be a dad. He stayed in the baby's life, committed to doing better. We kept in contact, even met for a drink once. I saw a man who had made a mistake, but was trying to right it. I didn't know if we'd stay friends, but I didn't mind crossing paths with him now and then. Sarah, on the other hand, tried to patch things up with Brian, maybe hoping to rebuild what she'd lost. But he wasn't interested in a relationship, just co-parenting. I spoke to her once. It was a long, painful conversation. She admitted to feeling neglected, like I wasn't emotionally present in the relationship. Maybe there was truth in that. I wasn't perfect, but I gave her everything I could. When she cried, I held her briefly, not out of love, but out of shared grief for what could have been. She asked if we could stay friends, if I'd visit the baby. I said no. That door was closed. Before she moved out to stay with her mother, I handed her a stuffed animal I had bought for the child I thought was mine. It was the last gesture, the final thread being cut. Then I blocked her number. The silence was painful, but necessary. The weeks that followed were rough. I drank more than I should have, stumbled through the routine of work, and felt lost in my own skin. But slowly I started healing. At work, I met someone, a kind single mom. We started talking casually. I told her up front I wasn't ready for anything serious, that I was still healing. She understood. We connected slowly, at a pace that felt safe. As time passed, I saw a future forming. Her daughter was amazing, and stepping into a stepdad role came naturally. I started therapy, got back into working out, and began piecing myself back together. She grounded me. She didn't try to fix me, just walked beside me through the wreckage. 8 months later, I hadn't heard from Sarah. She had moved 3 hours away, and I rarely thought of her anymore. Occasionally, I'd get a text from Brian updating me on the baby. He was doing well. We didn't talk about Sarah. That chapter was over. My relationship with the single mom blossomed. We shared laughs, honest conversations, and a sense of peace I had never known before. Meeting her daughter sealed the bond. I wanted to be there for them, not because I needed to escape the past, but because I saw a future worth building. I'm planning to propose someday, not out of desperation, but out of genuine love and hope. Sarah is now just a memory, one that shaped me, hurt me, and taught me. I don't regret how I handled things. I survived a storm I never saw coming, and now on the other side, I've found something real. I'm not bitter, just grateful for the life I'm building, the people who stood by me, and the love I never expected to find again.